Egypt just came out with his book last week called On the Nile. I wonder how much West Coast info is in it. Lonzo, have you seen or heard any info from any of your partners about this?
No, I have not. And Egypt's brother Dave is a regular. He walks with us on a regular basis. I haven't heard anything about this whatsoever. Um, I'd be curious to see. I'd be curious to see what he had to say, man. I'd be curious to hear what he had to say. He can mold the truth very well. Okay, he can mold the truth very well. I'm gonna leave it like that.
You mentioned that on a past show. He was telling a story, and you were kind of, saying, "Yeah, you don't remember that happening." But let's talk about Egyptian Lover. We've talked about him in the past before, but he is a big figure when it comes to the beginnings of West Coast hip hop. What do you remember about Egyptian Lovers come up?
He came up quick, faster than a hurry, dude. First out of high school, first record went through the roof. Egypt went through the roof, went through all over the world, and his life was changed instantly. Um, he had cars he couldn't even drive. He had pools he couldn't swim in. He was one of them cats from the West Coast at that time. He blew up. Okay, he blew up like nobody else did, and got very arrogant real fast. Got very arrogant real fast. He thought the world owed him something. Thought he was West Coast Prince for a long time, and we have bumped heads in the past. I'm cool with him. We just have a different version of the truth. That's all. We just have a different version of the truth. We have a different version of who actually did what, and what was the original origination. Because my thing is always, man, trying to stay as close to the truth as possible. Yes, I forget some shit. Because it's just been, that shit was 45, 50 years old. So yes, I do have the right to forget some shit, but numbers don't lie. And I tell certain people, numbers don't lie. And you can't tell me you day one if you wasn't at Alpine Village in 1978. And if you was born in 1970, you wouldn't have been at Alpine Village in 1978. Okay, you was 9 years old. Okay, or you was 8 years old. So if you born in 19, I was born in 65. I was at Alpine Village. No, you wait. Do the numbers. Do the numbers. Bruh, we didn't have, Alpine was not Romper Room. So for people to say certain things and not really apply the math to it, and especially to talk to somebody who was there, Egypt was like the second. Egypt was coming to Eve after dark long after I got the Eve. He was coming to Eve long after I had the Eve. The Eve was cracking. In fact, him and Snake Puppy went to school together. Snake Puppy from LA Dream Team, they all went to school together. And Snake tells me how him and Egypt used to walk from 60th and something to Eve after dark on Saturday nights. They walk like 60 blocks. Eve was on 129th right off El Segundo. If you walk in from 60 anything, that's 60 blocks. That's 60 blocks. But you could do that back in the day because, the gang factor was minimum. And, the hoods was, it wasn't wild as it became at some point in time, man. I remember Egypt looking through the window at yellows, learning trying to figure out how he was scratching. That's no shit. So, he came up, dude. I can't take that from him. He had made a lot of money, blew a lot of money, went through a lot of money. Oh yeah, because he was an independent dude. He was an independent artist, and he was getting the lion's share of the money. Even when McCall was stealing what he was stealing, he still got some fat ass checks. But yeah, he definitely has a different view of the truth. I'll put it like that.
Okay. Now, as anyone knows, Wikipedia, we can go in and adjust the Wikipedia however we want. Anyone can pretty much go in and type in this, and that. Wikipedia is not 100% accurate. Now, I looked up his label, Egyptian Empire Records, and there's a few sentences I'm going to read to you about the founding of Egyptian Empire Records. And I want you to tell me what you know and if the numbers add up, because we were talking about numbers earlier. Egyptian Empire Records this is all from Wikipedia. Egyptian Empire Records is the oldest electro record label owned by Egyptian Lover. Known for its unique style of electro music, it also has a political background because Egyptian Lover was the first African-American label owner. It was founded in 1983 by Egyptian Lover as Freak Beat Records. Since then, it has served as the up-tempo electric beats placed on wax. During its first few years, it was the home of Uncle Jam's Army. In 1985, it changed its name to Egyptian Empire Records. What do you think about what you just heard me read?
First Black African-American electro label. He was before me. I'll give him that. Okay. But first label would definitely be Duffy Hooks or Cletus with Saturn Records. They was making records. We were still in high school. I mean, again, Cletus and Duffy, they are a major part of the history, but they kind of been buried over the years. But yeah, I mean, electro label, yes, I'll give them first African American electro label. What else? What else are we talking about now?
Just the years, in 1983, it was founded as Freak Beat Records. Then in 1985, they changed it to Egyptian Empire Records. So you are giving them his props as the first African-American electro label owner.
Freak Beat was Roger. That was Uncle Jam's Army. That was their label.
See, can't believe anything you read on Wikipedia.
He was an artist on Freak Beat Records. That they did. He did a song called "I Need a Freak." It was a song of the group called Sexual Harassment. He redid that record on Freak Beat Records. Okay. And they also had Dollar Freak. That was one of his first breakout records on Freak Beat. That was Roger's label. He may have been partners. I'm not sure about that one. I know Roger did have the label Freak Beat, and they had song called Yes, Yes, Yes. Egypt did that. He was the voice on that. And then he had Sexual Harassment. I need a freak. I need a freak to rock me through the night. I need a freak. Blah, 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 blah. And what else? He had, and then they had Yes, Yes, Yes. I need a freak. And Dollar Freak. Yeah.
Okay.
Dollar Freak. Bum, bum, bum. They was all good. They were all good dance records. Hello, baby. What's the scene? Can I come pick you up in my limousine? And after that, I don't know the words no more. But anyway, most of those were on Freak Beat. He might have re-recorded them and put them on his label later on, but they started off as Freak Beat. That was Roger. Roger always wanted to own a label. We were at West Coast. I mean, we were at Record Shack. All he talked about was on the label. That was one of his goals in life, was to own a label, and Freak Beat was that label.